All right, let's jump right in. We're going to be talking about something I think a lot of us can relate to, that feeling of being, well, fractured inside. But more than that, we're going to explore the path to healing that divide and finding a sense of wholeness.
Okay, so let me just ask you this straight up. Ever feel like you're literally at war with yourself? You know that feeling, right? One part of you is screaming, go left, while another part is yanking you hard to the right. It's exhausting, and trust me, you are not alone in feeling that way.
So let's dive into this first section, the great inner divide, because this feeling, this internal tug of war, actually has a name, and figuring out what that is, well, that's the first real step to fixing it. And that name is fragmentation. It's basically this deep, profound conflict raging inside you. It's the battle between your true, authentic self and the pressure you feel to conform, to be the person everyone else expects you to be. And this just lays it out so perfectly. You've got your authentic self, your gut feelings, your inner truth. Hit it against the conforming self, the one that's trying to meet all those outer expectations and fit into all these different social roles. It is a constant, and I mean constant, tug of war. So where does this all come from? Well, in many spiritual frameworks, the root of this conflict is traced back to an imbalance in the sacral chakra. This is seen as your body's hub for emotions, for pleasure, for creativity and flow. And when that energy center gets blocked or out of whack, it's no wonder the self feels completely and utterly divided. Okay, so that leads to the next big question. Section 2. Origins of the fracture. How does something like this even start? Because you're not born this way, right? It has to come from somewhere. And a lot of the time, the roots go way back, often to our early lives. Think about it, growing up in a place where your real feelings were just ignored, or worse, invalidated. Emotional neglect, trauma you haven't dealt with, these things teach you to just push your true feelings down. You start to see your authentic self as this fragile little thing that could just be wiped out by what the world demands of you. And this fragmentation leads to a really interesting state. It's called inertial mass. Imagine this. The need to just feel something, anything, becomes stronger than the will to actually do anything. Your consciousness kind of sinks into the body, chasing pleasure and sensation instead of moving forward. You get stuck. Maybe it's escaping into entertainment, chasing emotional highs, or overindulging. All of it is just a way to try and feel whole again. And I love this quote because it just nails it. The goal is to render the self immobile, not through force, but through seduction. See, that's the key. It's not that you're being pinned down. No, it's much sneakier. You're being seduced into standing still, lured by the comfort of sensation and the sweet, sweet relief of not having to face anything difficult. So what's the real fear here? What's the ultimate threat? It's not about taking action or fitting in. The deep, gut-level fear is that the person the world requires you to become will completely and totally erase the real you. It's a fear of total self-annihilation, of just disappearing. Wow. Okay, that all sounds pretty intense, right? But here's the good news. There is a way out, and it's an incredibly powerful and honestly beautiful solution. Let's talk about the unifying cure. And here's the big twist. The cure isn't about brute force. It's not about wrestling those broken parts of yourself into submission. It's something else entirely. It's focus. What are we focusing on? Meaning and purpose. This isn't just some fuzzy concept. Think of it as a North Star for your life, a stable anchor in the middle of a chaotic internal storm. It's the one thing that can get all those scattered, conflicting pieces of you to finally point in the same direction. So how do you actually do this? What's the game plan? Well, first, you've just got to acknowledge all those pieces of yourself. No judgment, just see them. Then comes the big one. You have to find your why, your core purpose. Because once you have that, everything else starts to click into place. Every random impulse, every conflicting feeling suddenly has a role to play in the bigger story of you. And this is where things get really exciting. Because when you start living from this place of purpose, it's not just an internal change. Your whole relationship with the outside world just transforms. Let's look at the shift to participation. It's a total paradigm shift. You stop being a reward seeker, constantly needing a pat on the back, needing that external validation to feel like you're even allowed to be here. Instead, you shift into authentic participation. Your actions aren't about getting something anymore. They're about giving something.
an expression of who you are as a gift to the world.
And this right here is where you find true freedom. When your worth, your legitimacy comes from inside you, the whole dynamic of obedience and resistance just dissolves. Obeying expectations isn't a threat anymore because you can't be erased, and resisting everything isn't necessary because you're not fighting for your survival. You can finally just be in the world, playing your part without that constant fear of disappearing.
Okay, so this whole journey, healing that inner divide by finding your purpose, it all leads somewhere. It culminates in a state that is, honestly, pretty profound. Welcome to Section 5, the state of pure bliss.
So, what are we talking about when we say pure bliss? Look, this isn't just about feeling happy for a moment. This is something much deeper. It's described as this divine state of perfect self-knowing. It's the incredible, unshakable joy that floods in when your own consciousness just recognizes itself. It's like looking in a mirror and finally seeing who you really are, and it feels amazing. And out of that bliss, something incredible emerges. Absolute love. And again, this isn't the love we see in movies. It's not about needing someone to complete you or fill some empty hole inside. No, this is love without any expectation. It's the natural overflow from a person who is already completely whole, totally satisfied. You don't need anything, so you can just love. And in this state, you have this massive realization. You figure out that you are not the storm. You're not the chaotic thoughts, the swirling emotions, the roles you play. You are the calm at the center of it all. You are the unchanging, silent witness, the quiet, radiant awareness that is the source of all your perceptions, just watching the show of life go by. And this quote just sums it all up, beautifully and simply. I shine, therefore all things appear. It's that final click. The understanding that your experience of the world doesn't just happen to you, it flows from you, from your own shining awareness. So that's what we've been exploring, and it all really comes down to this one final question that I want to leave with you. A question just for you to think about. What is the why that could unify your world?